What's up, y'all? What you gonna say?
I don't know. I thought you would.
What's up, y'all? It's Meeks here. I'm James.
I'm Tina.
And we are checking in. Wanted to give you guys the COVID-19 update. I caught COVID a couple of weeks ago, so it's...
Should I even be sitting next to you right now?
I'm good now. But I wanted to talk to you guys about what happened, the journey with it. It affected our family, something that we just never thought would come our way. So wanted to chat about that a little bit.
Okay, well, go ahead, Mr. Sickly.
So,
thank God for healing.
yes, thank God for healing. So what, about two and a half weeks ago now?
Today makes 3. Well,
yeah, it might be 3.
It's
now.
3 weeks because it was that Monday.
Yeah, you're right. So 3 weeks ago, I started to feel a little funny. I didn't get a lot of sleep the previous night. Woke up in the morning and told Tina that my throat felt weird. It was like a little scratchy situation. I didn't know what it was, but it felt weird and it felt off. And then we were coming off a weekend where it was like 100 degrees.
Yeah. Every
day that weekend. So to be feeling kind of sickish in the middle of the heat just didn't feel right. So I told her, go ahead.
I blew it. I didn't blow it off, but you had also taken the kids to the park that day, and you never really do the park thing.
Yeah.
And that park that we go to, it triggers everybody's allergies in like the worst way. So I said, it's probably from going to the park, take some allergy medicine, sleep it off.
Right.
Black mama, sleep it off. You'll feel better in the morning. But he did not feel better in the morning.
Nah. So it kind of just progressed throughout the day, and I just kept monitoring. So like I know my body. Like I can say I rarely get sick.
Yeah, he never gets
this year is actually the second time I got sick. I got sick in February, right before Grandma's birthday when we went to Virginia. Mm-hmm. But since then I haven't been sick. I've been super healthy. I'm a vegan. I eat well. I exercise all the time, so like I know when something's off. So I just kind of monitor the progression of the symptoms throughout the day, and then the next morning I had a rough night sleeping that night.
You slept upstairs that night, right?
Yes, I slept upstairs at night, just feeling like, all right, something might be weird, so let me stay away from the family if I can. So that morning, Tina came upstairs and she gave me a kiss on the forehead.
And I immediately wanted to take my lips back. The moment that my lips touched the skin, I was like, oh my God, you got a fever. You know how it's just that mama instinct. You know when somebody's temperature is just not right. So I was like, I felt like that episode of SpongeBob. I know y'all know what I'm talking about, but his whole face just dried up. He tried to fuck his lips back up. I wanted to take it back so bad because I immediately knew that something was wrong. But we grabbed the thermometer and he did. And what was it, like 101?
It's like 102. That was 102 then.
And 102 for an adult in the middle of the summertime, absolutely not normal. Yeah.
So at that point, it was like, all right, you got to go get tested, man, because like something is wrong. Either you are like getting really, really sick, or we just started to think that I might have COVID. Yeah. But the weird part of it was like, we don't go anywhere. We don't have anybody over. Like the few places we do go, like very, very careful. We've been very careful with the COVID situation the whole time. So I'm just really like getting anxiety about, man, how would I even have COVID considering how safe we've been all year? So I ended up calling, there's an urgent care facility a couple of miles away from my house. So I called them, made sure they were doing testing. One of the weird things about being out here in LA was at one point in time, it was taking like a week and a half or 2 weeks just to get tested. Like there was like a backlog of people who wanted to get tested. So I didn't know what that situation looked like. So hit them up. They said I could come in and walk in that morning and go and get tested. So when they did that, and the testing experience was weird in itself. Like I had heard people talk about it hurt and they stuck the sting up your nose and all of that. So I get there and they won't let me in the building. Like if you have symptoms, you're not supposed to go in the building. So you're supposed to call a number and they'll come out to your car and administer the test out there. I get there, I'm calling the number. Nobody's picking up the phone. I get out of my car, I go walk up to the front just to peek inside, and I see the people, but they're not picking up the phone. So I called Tina like, yo, man, I'm just sitting out here and nobody will answer the phone, but I know they see me because I see them seeing me, but nobody's answering the phone to come in and administer the test. So finally, she calls.
Yeah, I started blowing them up, and I'm like, are y'all at work today? Because my husband is trying to let y'all know that he's outside to be tested. I need somebody to acknowledge that he's calling and let him know that, okay, you can't come in, but, you know, we'll be outside to assist you because what y'all doing? So they were like, yeah, okay, what kind of car is he in? We'll go and we'll let him know, you know, when we're ready to test him.
And I don't know what it is about them type of situations, but like anytime I have an issue either at a store or whatever, this is the great thing about being married to a black woman. Like, they can call or they can go in and pitch a fit, and they get what they want immediately. I'm standing outside this window looking at these people, and they will not acknowledge me. But the minute she calls them, somehow they pick up the phone, and
They don't want no smoke.
I end up getting seen. So I end up sitting in my car for like a good 45 minutes to an hour before they actually were ready to get me. He comes outside, he tells me I need to pull around to the back. So I pull around to the back, the doctor comes and talks to me, and he tells me like, all right, this, you know, what are your symptoms? He checks on my breathing, all of that good stuff, and he goes and gets the swab. Now the swab situation I just was not ready for. It is definitely terrible. So whatever they told you about it, or whatever you heard, it's real. Like the swab, it comes out, it's like this long, it's like a super long Q-tip. And he was like, yeah, this might hurt a little bit. So I'm like, all right, man, it's a Q-tip. How's it gonna hurt that bad? So then he's like, well, tilt your head back. So he's at my window. He tells me to tilt my head back, and then he sticks it basically all the way up my nose into my brain and like swishes it around. I'm like, bro, like, are you trying to get the COVID?
Bear in mind, it's like this long. So imagine something this long going all the way up your nose. Where is it gonna go?
So I'm like, are you trying to get the COVID in my brain, or are you just trying to get it out my nose, bro? Because I'm confused right now. So he holds it there for probably a good like 7 to 10 seconds, and then finally, like as I'm about to slap him, he pulls it out. So, and I ain't even gonna lie, like my eye twitching at this time now too. I'm like, am I about to start crying? Like, what just happened with my nose? So. He's like, sir, well, we got it, you good now, but it's gonna take, you know, up to a week to get your results back. So I'm like, a week? What am I supposed to do for a week? Like, I need to know, like, cause I got a whole family at home, wife, kids, like, I don't want to get anybody sick. And he's like, well, you should just start quarantining anyways, you know, because I think you have it based on your symptoms. And if you do end up, the test comes back positive, at least you started your quarantine process. You got to quarantine for 14 days. And if you don't have it, then you'll know it's something else. And I'm like, all right, so like, but these symptoms are starting to get a little bit crazy. Like every day I'm feeling, you know, a little more worse. So I'm like, what do I do? Like, what do I take? And he's like, I mean, you could take some Tylenol. Like, what's most important is keep your fever down. I said, bro, I came here for you to tell me to take Tylenol. Like, I was already doing that. And he was like, well, you could take Mucinex too. And I said, Mucinex? All right, man. Like, this is how we handling COVID in 2020. So, you know, I left from there feeling a little helpless. Like, y'all didn't really help me.
And I'll say that they told him, you know, hindsight, we know now that they offer rapid testing. You told him you had an entire family at home that you did not want to put at risk, and not once did they say, oh, let's do the rapid test.
Right. He just straight up did
He
the
just
swab.
said do the swab and said it was going to take 5 to 7 days. You know, go home, try to shut yourself away from your family, and Godspeed. Like,
yeah. So it was
medical professionals. We love y'all.
We love y'all, but this whole COVID situation is it's just been a mess. I would say across the country.
It was pieces of information given when, you know, the rapid test could have told us everything we needed to know, you know, immediately, versus you coming home and then 3 days later finding out.
Right. So the test happens on Wednesday. I'm still trying to work. Like I work remotely. So I'm still trying to work for a couple of hours a day, but I'm feeling so bad. Like at one point, like I couldn't even work anymore. Like I'm literally like falling asleep on the floor because I'm just so exhausted. From a symptom standpoint, it went from the fever to the body aches to the chills to now I'm struggling breathing. to I lose my sense of taste at one point, to I was super nauseous.
He wouldn't
like
eat at all.
you know, I think through this whole ordeal, like I ended up losing 7 pounds, and I wasn't working out, running, doing anything. I just wouldn't eat because everything was making me nauseous, from Gatorade to water to crackers. Like at one point in time, the only thing I would eat was like, I told Tina to get me some saltine crackers. Like that was the only thing that
And you
I
might
could.
have ate them for like 2 days.
Yeah, but other than that, like I just wasn't eating anything because I was so nauseous. So fast forward to Friday, I get tested on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Friday, I fall asleep on the floor because I'm just exhausted, and I wake up and see I have a missed call. So I look at my voicemail. I hear the doctor on there. They saying, "Hey, call us back. We got your results." I try to call them back. Of course, they don't answer the phone when I first call them back.
I think they got his number screened.
Yeah, they got me screened or something, man. Like, cause matter of fact, I did. So I'm calling them from my Atlanta number, and they don't answer. I actually went and called them from my LA number, and they answered the phone. So they definitely screened something in there. So I finally get in touch with them. I'm like, "Hey, so y'all called, left a voicemail about my results. Like, what happened?" And she told me like the worst news ever. She was like, "Yeah, so we finally got it back, and you tested positive for COVID-19. So I'm like, "Ah, dang, man!" Like,
And he comes and tells me, because he went out on the back patio to take the call, and I'm like, "You need to go back in the guest room, and you need to stay away from me and my kids."
yeah. So I got banished to the guest room.
Yeah, and I, like, at that point, we had already kind of been treating it as though he might have come back positive. So it was a lot of, like, disinfectant sprays and wipes and, like, microban on, like, all of the door handles and the surfaces and because we have a pretty decent sized house, but we're typically all in the same room together. The kids, like, we have 2 couches, but they will sit on the same couch that they're sitting on. We're sitting on as close to us as humanly possible. We're a very close knit family, so we're this close all the time. So it was a difficult transition to, you can't touch daddy. You can't go in the room with daddy. You can't be around daddy. It would have been easier for real if we could just send you to like a hotel or something, but we couldn't because it's public. So it was just trying to keep the kids away from him, trying to keep all of like the shared surfaces and everything clean. Like we completely stopped using the upstairs bathroom to let him have that bathroom so we don't have to go in there behind him and me have the fear that the kids touch something and then touch their face before they wash their hands or anything like that. Washing sheets every single day, washing his clothes as soon as they came off. It was a lot.
It was a lot. Yeah, it was definitely a lot. You know, so just being, you know, once I finally got the results in and I knew I was positive, that was even more, I would say, created more anxiety, because now my immediate mind shifts to, I don't want anybody else to get it. And most importantly, we didn't want Zoe to get it. Like, Zoe is asthmatic. You know, she has been since she's been a baby. And while she hasn't had any issues, I would say in like the last year or so, not really.
She had a scare, was it August 2019?
Yeah.
Where she was hospitalized for 2 days because she had a severe asthma attack. It was 2018 because I was super pregnant with Luke. James had just left to travel for work that Monday, and she had like an extreme asthma attack, and I had to stay overnight with her at the hospital. One of my good girlfriends had to keep little James for us so that he could keep going to school, but it was a traumatic experience for her. She had to get like IVs and everything like that, and so she considers the hospital the big doctor, and she's scared of the big doctor now, because it was a lot for her. It was a lot for all of us. But that was the last bad flare-up she's had, because before that she hadn't officially been diagnosed. After that she has like daily medicines and everything that she has to take, you know, to help her lungs perform their best. So, but she is our in-house asthmatic, and we absolutely knew that, you know, if we didn't want anybody else to get it, we absolutely didn't want her to get it, just because her lungs are already compromised.
Yeah, because like back then we could hear, like when she was having issues, we could hear her wheezing when she's breathing. So she hasn't had, since that issue, which, you know, scared, you know, the living heck out of us, we haven't had real issues since.
Yeah,
but
she's been doing good.
you know, everything that I've been following everything with COVID-19 and the research and what it does to your body and what it does to your lungs. And the thing that we've always been concerned with, because children, they seem to bounce back and be pretty resilient and a lot of times asymptomatic towards it. But people with asthma tend to have a higher, harder issue to get through it. So, once I found out I had it, it's like, all right, definitely got to be strict, stay away from the family, lock yourself in the guest room. So I was really only going from like the guest room to the outside patio to get some fresh air when I wanted it. And then may occasionally just walk through the living room or whatever, but still like don't have the energy to work. So at this point, I'm basically checked out of work. I let them know once I tested positive so they would know what was going on too. So they go, the family.
He got his test that Friday evening. So that Saturday morning, me and the kids, I decided to go to get tested because I didn't want to not know. It was pretty much the same in terms of his experience. They actually let me and the kids come inside despite me telling them that we had been exposed to somebody who tested positive, which didn't make sense to me.
None at all.
But whatever, we went inside. They took us all back in the room at the same time and stuck the giant needle up our noses. He told us that it was going to be bad, but I've gotten the flu swab that they stick all the way up your nose. So I kind of figured it was going to be in the same realm. No, that swab is like 3 times the size. So when they pulled it out, I'm looking at the kids like, you can't act scared because they're going to be scared. So all the kids are looking at me like, oh, they got to stick that up our nose. And I just prepped them and I was like, look, y'all have to be rock stars about it because if you freak out, Zoe's going to freak out and then Luke is going to freak out. So if nobody freaks out, I'll take y'all and I'll make sure I get y'all like a special treat, some ice cream or something. So I went first just so that they wouldn't see that it was too bad. And the whole time I'm like, Lord Jesus, I really wanted to like cry or push the man because it feels like you got hit in your nose and you got a really bad sneeze stuck all at the same time. Like that's the best way I know how to describe it. So your eyes immediately start watering and you really want to make them stop, but you got to sit there and take it. But all of the kids did good. It was like right when it got to the point that they thought they might want to cry or react, it was over. Yeah. Including Luke. He didn't cry either. He like tensed up real bad and I was holding his arm, so he couldn't fight even though he thought about it. But right when he got to the point that he was going to scream, the lady pulled the swab out. So it took us longer to get our results back, though, because we went over the weekend, and I guess the lab only counts business days. So me and the kids went on a Saturday, but we didn't get the test of that the next Thursday. Yeah. So at this point, you're a week and a half in.
I'm a week in. Like, I done, almost died at this point. Like,
and by the time we get our test results, he's, I guess, coming out on the other side.
Yeah, I'm starting to bounce back. I feel like I've kind of hit the peak, and now I'm feeling bad, and I'm starting to return a little bit. Feeling like I'm getting my energy back. I started to like slowly get my appetite back and my sense of taste. But then, so we're getting y'all's results, but y'all's results are coming in staggered too. So even though they all went to get tested on the same day. So
that's what happened. We got Luke's test results back on Wednesday, that following Wednesday, and it was negative. And it gave me like a big sigh of relief because if there was one person that wasn't quite following the don't touch daddy rules, it was Luke. Luke was like, look, this is my daddy. I don't know what y'all talking about. I can't touch him, but I'm going to go give him a hug right quick. So that was probably the one kid that I was worried about because he was not listening. But his was negative. So I was like, well, if Luke's negative, then the rest of us should be okay. So when I got the call the Thursday, she was like,
well, even before that though, they called back about me. They got me and Pooh mixed up.
Yeah.
And so they called about our oldest, little James, and somehow they called me though, and they wanted to verify my information to say they got my test results, and they told me that I was negative, and I was like, what? Like, lady, I've been sick for 2 weeks now. I know I'm not negative, and I already got a positive test from y'all. So then they called Tina's phone, but they wanted to talk to me, but they wouldn't tell Tina the results. They had to get it to me. So then I give her phone back, and I'm like, I'm so confused. What's going on? And I was like, hey, ask her, does she mean Little James? So somehow they had gotten, because Little James and I, we have the same name, they had gotten us mixed up in the birth date. So they took his test and applied it to me and saying negative, but really in actuality, it was his test, and he was negative.
So at that point, after we cleared that up, we know that Luke and Little James are negative. My test was negative too, so she was like, but Zoe, and I'm like, not and Zoe, but Zoe. But Zoe was positive. And in that moment, like, I froze and I almost dropped my phone. And then for like the rest of the day, like, I literally felt like my chest was about to explode, because it made an already anxious a situation that I was already anxious about, and it just took my anxiety through the roof, because at this point, I'm like, the one kid I didn't want to get it, the one kid we absolutely didn't need to get it, got it.
Right.
The kids have never, we've been separated from him, but we've never been separated from each other. So at this point, because James wasn't, like, he was sleeping upstairs, Zoe was sleeping, in his place in his bed. In our bed, so she was sleeping with me and Luke. The kids play together all day long. Luke and Zoe are constantly drinking out of each other's water bottles and, picking out of each other's plates and playing with all of the toys. And y'all, we have so many toys. I was like, well, do we just need to throw them all away? Like, at this point, I just felt like the entire house was contaminated, and the thought of, my baby girl having it and needing to figure out where to start to clean the house, it sent me over. Like, it was a lot to try to process, which is why I couldn't, like, while we were going through it, I couldn't really talk too much about it, because I was overwhelmed. And on top of that, in terms, for those of you who don't know, I'm a full-time content creator. I'm literally in the middle of the busiest season I've ever had, like, doing work all day long. And James is mostly like my cameraman, so I'm already at a deficit without him. And then all of this is going on. Like, I really just wanted to delete Instagram because I couldn't handle it. Like, I was like, what is happening right now? But our silver lining in it is that there's one or two things that's happening. We still don't know. Either Zoe got a false positive or she's asymptomatic. Either way, we'll take it, because me and the kids, especially Zoe, have not exhibited any symptoms. There was a day, like 2 days in, just because your mind is a tricky place, because knowing that I had like kissed him the day before he had said his throat was hurting and all of that stuff. Like, there was a day where I think I had ate like some French fries or something, and I was like, I can't taste my food.
That was the day that I went to get tested. Like, this one right here, like, swore she was just making up symptoms. Like, I can't taste anything, and I'm like, yo, like, I haven't even got my results back yet. Relax. But she swore up and down that she had
I have lost
COVID.
my sense of taste,
like,
y'all. I was like,
and she's already an internet doctor anyway. So, like, whenever something happens with her, she the first person to Google something and just,
go down that rabbit hole.
You go down that rabbit hole, they say you're going to die in 5 minutes based on whatever symptoms you exhibiting. So, she was super scared, and it came back, didn't have nothing at all. So, way dramatic. But with Zoe, I think that was really just, God at the end of the day. Like, Zoe, I think she was asymptomatic. And the most, I would say, stressful part of this whole situation for me was, as a parent, and especially as, the man in the house, like, I want to make sure that, I protect my family. And if anything is going to happen negative, I want it to happen to me and only me. Like, I'll take that on so that they don't have to experience that. So when she got the positive test, like, I already just felt bad. Like, you know what? Like, I'm letting my family down. My baby girl has it, and she has asthma. So, of course, like, I didn't want to freak anybody out, but that was what was going through my mind. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, I don't want her to experience any of the symptoms I had. Like, cause when I tell y'all, I know, there's a lot of debate about this thing online, but like, that was the sickest I've been probably ever in all my years of being sick. I've had the flu once, and like I said, I don't get sick. I had the flu once. I bounced back from the flu in like a day or two. I don't get flu shots, any of that type of stuff. But like COVID-19 had me down on my behind, like no joke at all. So
he literally could not stay awake. It was almost he was so lethargic. It was scary to watch because it's like I'm trying to take care of him and not freak out all at the same time. But it was like he would be up and then the next minute he slumped. Like it was hard to see him like that.
And it took over your body. Like I could feel the symptoms. Like the day before a new symptom would come on, I would tell her like, you know what? I feel my chest getting something weird is going on inside my chest with my breathing. And then the next day, I'm struggling to breathe. The doctor had told me like, make sure you go and you walk around, like try to stretch your lungs. I couldn't muster up the energy. It was so difficult with everything that was going on. So you fast forward now. And we coming out of it. We went yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday we went and got retested in terms of getting a negative result. The rapid test doesn't work for that. The rapid test only works, if you're wanting to know if you're a carrier or if you're currently carrying it. So we have to wait the business days again to see if we all come back negative. But everybody is feeling better. He still be trying to hold his little cough in every now and then.
Everything is pretty much gone at this point except the cough. The cough still kind of lingers there, but I feel 100% better. I'm starting to really get back to myself. My appetite is back now. So I feel like I'm past it. I want the negative results so that I can fully know and have that peace of mind that comes with it. But I feel a hell of a lot better than I did 3 weeks ago or even 2 weeks ago. So I'm just thankful that we got to this place.
Yeah, me too. Like we mostly, that we're all feeling fine, but we want the negative results so that, we're safe for everybody else. Cause it's just like, he's feeling back like his normal self. And he was like, oh, I'm gonna take the cars to the car wash. And I was like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that. Like we don't want to put anybody else at risk. So that's why the negative result, is imperative for us. Like we have a photographer that we are excited to start working with, but we can't because we don't want to put her at risk until we have a negative result. We've been doing like grocery delivery, grocery drop off. We haven't taken the kids back to the park, which is something that we normally do every single day. We've only been playing out in front of the house. So we have been sticking to the rules in terms of keeping ourselves quarantined because we know that this is a very real thing, and who's to say the next person will be as fortunate to come out of this situation the way that we have. Like I know during the time that James has been sick, my uncle has it, and he was in the hospital. Thank God he's home now, but he was in the hospital on breathing tubes because it had gotten that bad for him. One of my cousins was in ICU. She's feeling better now herself too, but we know that it's a very, very real thing, and it's not something that we want to leave to chance by just running out into the public because we feel better, not knowing whether or not we still carry it. So
yeah, and that's the most important thing, and that's why the mask wearing thing is important. Like it's about just not spreading it to other people. So when we went to go get retested yesterday, that was the first time that I've been in a car or really have left the house, like for real, outside of the neighborhood since I've been sick. So, we're hopeful that we can get past this and it doesn't happen again. I would say now, like honestly, because I don't know where I got it, right? Like the only times I'll be out the house without a mask is when I'm running in the morning. But when I run in the street just to be away from people. So like, and we were super, super careful. Now I'm feeling like I don't want to be around humans anymore.
Yeah, like I have been truly racking my brain just trying to figure out how you might have got it. Like he normally does like our store runs or food runs if we want anything out. So I'm like, is it just that one particular day where you like went to the grocery store and put in your PIN number and somebody had left like some snot traces on it or something? Like it's so crazy to me because me and the kids, we and him, aside from stuff like that, we don't go anywhere. We go to the park, but it's not like a playground. It's an open field. We take our own balls, their own bikes, their own scooters. They play with each other, and they play with that stuff, but we don't do a whole bunch of venturing out. The biggest risk we took was when we went down to San Diego. Right. And even then, we stayed. I was so shook that we spent most of the time in the hotel room.
Yeah, because we didn't want to be, because it's down there, everybody was being
They
like,
were not social distancing
super reckless,
at all.
no mask, anything. So that was our first time being out. So we were nervous, and just anxious being around that many people who weren't following social distancing protocols. So it is super nerve wracking, I would say, to not know how I got it. You know, the only time I don't wear a mask when I'm outside is when I go running in the morning. And when I run, I'm running in the street. I don't touch the sidewalk because people be on the sidewalk. I make sure I stay away from people. If somebody's running in the street and they come in my way, like we look at each other and we go like this. Like they hit that side, I hit that side. Like everybody know, like we ain't trying to share no droplets or nothing with nobody. So it's crazy to not know where you got it from, and to even have read recently that you can contract it via your eyes and all of that now too. It's
and
like,
that you can get this mess more than once. So we've survived this crisis, and now like I'm about to just put all of us in hazmat suits because what?
Yeah, I mean it's nuts. So I think the biggest thing for us is just, you know, continue to be safe, waiting on that negative result to come back. You know, I'm not gonna like get back out there again. Even once it does, like I'm at a point now where I just want to avoid humans. Like, you know, the only humans, if your last name ain't Meeks, I probably ain't even gonna deal with you going forward. But you know, once I get the negative result back, at least kind of knowing, you know, so that I'm not out here potentially putting somebody else at risk by getting them sick. I think that's the biggest thing.
I think so too, because we were on the very fortunate side of this. I feel like we've had, you know, close friends lose family members. I've had some family members be in the hospital. They have since, you know, started their journey to recovery, but it's a very real thing. It's something we all absolutely need to take very seriously. Like being as careful as we thought we could be. You know, we still ended up having it in our home, and that's not to say that, you know, those rules are a moot point, but that you need to be extra careful because it's just so many unknowns about this virus, and you want to do everything that you can to protect yourselves and your family.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, you know, just be safe going forward, man. You know, we've learned a lot this year. Just 2020 has been crazy. Never in a million years that I think, or she probably never thought that any of us would experience COVID. I had made a joke with a coworker months ago, like when things they weren't as crazy in the U.S. as they are now. This was like January, February, but it was the guy who sits next to me. He was talking about, I think it's getting really, really bad, and I think somebody is gonna, it's probably gonna hit home. And I was like, man, stop. Like, I'm super laid back and chill, so I didn't think it would get as bad as it has gotten to this point. So I was like, man, I'll bet you a paycheck that ain't nobody.
Sir.
I was like, I bet you a paycheck that nobody at work would get COVID-19. And then you fast forward now, 6-7 months later, and I actually think I was the first person at my job.
Y'all ain't shake on that, right?
we ain't shake on it, so you ain't getting that money, bro. Just so you know, we ain't shake on it. But he was right. It got worse and it hit home, and we've been able to bounce back and get through it. So, just thank God. For his blessings, for his coverings, and thank all of you who prayed for us, who prayed for my family, who prayed for the kids, who prayed for me. I think we really, really needed that. We're very fortunate to come through this, and just going through what I went through as a young, healthy person who eats well and who exercises, and the struggle I had. I can't imagine what this is like for somebody who's older, who has pre-existing conditions, whose body just can't fight it off. So I'm just thankful that we're here and able to kind of share this story on the other side of it,
for real,
and it not be negative.
Yeah, because if God has been moving in amazing ways for us this year, but the one thing that we will absolutely continue to brag about is that COVID hit our house and we live to tell about it, because it's out here taking lives, and that's not anything that we take lightly. You guys probably watch the news and follow the stories. I read heartbreaking story after heartbreaking story every single day about somebody who's lost a loved one due to COVID, and that was part of my anxiety, because you never know when your day is going to be your day. So I'm just glad we were able to come out on the other side of this, and you feeling better, Zoe not having any issues, and me and the boys being completely okay. King too, because apparently animals can get it too.
Yeah, animals can get it too. So we didn't get King tested. King might mess around and have that junk. We don't even know about it. But super thankful that we here. She nursed me back to health, even though she was reluctant to do it. I will tell you that, when you get sick or you go through something, just always revert back to them vows, because it says, through sickness and health and do all of that good stuff. But this one right here wouldn't even get close to me. You know what I mean?
Close to you for what? You have you might as well you had a plague, sir.
We supposed to be in this together.
We were in this together. You lucky I ain't make you sleep outside.
You big on.
No, but for real, like I think last week, because he was starting to feel better, he was helping me with something for my blog, and he had like typed it up on his computer and everything, and he was like, "Here, look at it. Start on this page right here," and I was like.
Just live.
You expect me to touch your laptop?
Just disrespecting me.
Email it to me and I'll look at it on my laptop.
We supposed to be in this thing together. We got the same last name. It's supposed to be Meeks, gang, all of that. But she turned her back on me. But it's all
I did
good,
not. I made sure you ate. When you had an appetite, I made sure you had stuff to keep you comfortable. Look, I tried to be nurse wife bae. I'm ordering blood pressure cuffs and pulse detectors and oxygen meters, trying to make sure that nothing in his body was changing and we weren't unaware of it. But this is probably the closest I've been to him in 3 weeks.
That is a fact. I've been banished from destiny.
I was not about to risk my life for a hug. I'm sorry.
You know what I'm saying, man? It's no loyalty out here. Like I said, bro, if you really want to know if she really love you, get sick and see how she responds.
I had
to
half
you.
a mind to pack these kids up and take them to my sister's house. I just didn't want to put her at risk because we had already been exposed to you. Okay, look, I was scared,
but yeah, God. Just some quick tips in terms of getting through it, right?
What helped you?
What helped me, I would say, was sleep. I was super tired, so sleep was important. One thing that I do every day is in the morning times I drink warm water with lime juice or lemon juice mixed into it. So that's just a day-to-day, independent of being sick, but that really helped. As I was going through this. I'm not a big medicine person, so the only meds I really took were the Tylenol, just because she wanted me to make sure that I kept the fever in check. If it was up to me, I really probably wouldn't have taken that either. I'm big into holistic approaches, herbs, minerals, all of that good stuff.
We did dabble in fresh ginger tea a few days when his cough got pretty bad. I would do ginger tea with honey.
Yeah,
and lemon,
because that helps suppress the cough. Because without that, I was coughing like crazy. So just that, and just staying hydrated. So room temperature water, room temperature Gatorade. When I didn't want to eat, or I just couldn't stomach to eat, the fluids kept me through. I took NyQuil a couple of times just because I wanted to sleep and kind of just knock out. But outside of that, it wasn't really any medicine. I didn't take Mucinex because it makes me sick. So I would just say also, one of the things the doctor told me, of everything they told me, this is probably the most meaningful thing, which was get up and try to get outside the house, get some sun, even if you just go walk in your driveway, just to kind of make sure you're working your lungs. So I did do that when I was filling up to it in the beginning. I didn't have the energy, so I couldn't. But as I started to feel a little bit better, going to the patio, sitting out there, getting some sun, going to the driveway, getting some sun out there. So it was a journey.
And it was crazy to see somebody who runs, 6+ miles every day struggle to go for a walk. So that's just an example of, the effect that it had on his lungs. He went for a walk around the neighborhood. Granted, we do live in a hilly area, but these are hills that he normally run every day, and just walking had him broke down and winded. Yeah. So it was hard to see him.
Yeah, the first time I took that walk down the hill, and then going down is the easy part because we live at the top of the hill. Yeah. But having to come back up, I thought I was gonna die. It was a struggle to take that little minor walk. So, like I said, just super thankful to be on the other side of it. So again, thank y'all. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Now that I'm getting back to it, I can get back to helping her. There's a lot of content that, we have to create going forward. So
gonna be creating.
Yeah, so there's a lot of good stuff coming. We got our podcast coming.
Oh, you gonna tell the people about the podcast?
They ain't gonna get all of it, just a little bit, but we got our new podcast coming, which we're super excited about.
We're not even gonna tell you what it's about.
Yeah, we're gonna say when you see it, just support it. That's all we ask. I'm sure she wants to do some more house stuff. You haven't done a house tour since
we haven't done an updated house tour, and we actually have like furniture and stuff now. So I definitely want to give you guys like a decor update and just share some more day in the life stuff with you guys, because it seems like we're gonna be bored in the house for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So why not show y'all, just how we living around here. Our schools here have already decided that the kids are going to be virtual schooling for the fall semester. So I want to take y'all on that journey with us, or just kind of day in the life of us living as an influencer family, and just like our photo shoots and things like that, and how we're trying to stay creative even though we're mostly spending a good deal of time in the house and can't travel and things like that. So I definitely want to share more of that with you guys, but if you have anything you would like to see from us, you can absolutely leave that in the comments. Make sure you subscribe, because we are going to be uploading more for the rest of the year, so that you see everything that is coming your way. And just thank you so much for all the genuine love and support for our family, for checking in on James and checking in on Zoe girl and the boys and I, and just making sure that we're good and always rallying behind us with your support. It means more to me than I can ever truly put into words. So thank you.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, we definitely appreciate that. We'll come back and let you guys know. We're waiting right now for the negative test results. They said there's a backlog. It could take up to 5 days. So once we get that,
we'll let y'all know.
But like I said, the most important thing is I'm feeling better.
Yeah.
Zoe's, not showing any issues. She's probably asymptomatic. So, we'll come back and update you guys on where we are. So just again, thank you so much. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video, share it out with your friends. We just want to help people who may have to experience this COVID-19 journey too.
It's as scary as it can be. God is still out here answering prayers in 2020. So wear your mask.
Wear your damn mask. Wash your damn hands.
Protect your family. Stay prayed up, folks. Thank you so much for your love.
All right, thanks y'all. Peace.
Bye.